What's up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York at Le Poussin Rouge. We just wrapped up an awesome interview with Yob, and now we are here with Dylan of Bellwitch. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to talk about Mira Reaper because I listened to the record last year, and it really was a phenomenal record. But it also left me with like more questions than when I started with it. But the first thing is always first. How was the recording for Mira Reaper?
It was great. We did it with Billy Anderson. We recorded the last record with him as well. He's a very, very creative guy. He's a very, very skilled guy, and he's a very, very hard worker. He's an absolute pleasure to work with. I'm looking forward to recording the next record with him as well.
Awesome. Now, I know that there was sort of like a concept behind Mira Reaper. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was due to a loss of one of your band members and friends, right?
That poked its way in as the song was being written, yes. It started off with, it was just supposed to be As Above, So Below, which fits right in with the concept that the band has always followed. And when Adrian Garrett died, maybe 4 or 5 months into the writing, it kind of, everything took a different tone from that. And I think we Jesse and I both took a step back and were like, whoa, do we keep going with this, or do we just call this quits? And I think that eventually we answered our question and said we should just push harder and try to make it extra special in honor of Adrian, sort of to just remember him with something. So we started put some of his vocals in. We used a riff where his vocals are that's kind of similar to an old riff off of Four Phantoms that I thought was pretty fitting to kind of have just the reference. Yeah.
That's heavy temple sound checking right there.
Right on.
Yeah. But I was really, because you kind of in a way just answered the question, because with a concept behind that, did you have like that as a preconceived idea and that determined the music, or did you kind of like have to write a couple of riffs or hear a couple of beats before you had a concept behind it? But you kind of just answered it.
Yeah, the concept was there before any of the song was written. I mean, the just like the band concept in general, it was kind of like it just fits right into that. So yeah, the concept was already there.
Wow. Now, because what I was curious about, because I heard that you're not actually playing the whole Mira Reaper record in its entirety tonight, right? Yeah. So, but you are playing some of it.
We're playing the first, I believe on the record it's 48 minutes. We've been playing it a little more slow live, so it ends up being like 52-ish. But basically right up until Adrian's vocals stop and that distorted riff ends and goes into an ambient section where Eric Mogridge comes in and starts doing vocals. It stops right before that ambient section for the live show.
Wow. So being that you don't play the whole hour and a half of that record in its entirety, as you who recorded it and experienced the record more than anybody, does that kind of, because you're not able to play the whole thing, take away from the experience a little bit?
No, I don't think it takes anything away. I think it's just kind of one half of it, and that one half has a lot going on. If anything, I think the first half has a lot more dynamic action in it than the second half does. The second half's way more laid back, kind of spacey. I think the first half is kind of the meat and potatoes of the record, and the second half, so maybe a little more. I don't know, words are escaping me. Maybe just a little more in the clouds, maybe. Okay. Yeah, in the clouds.
Now, at what point did you think that? Did you say that this record was officially done?
Well, I think we went into the studio. We were there was still gray area about that. We even added a couple minutes in there at one point, chopped out a couple minutes at another point. Actually, we chopped out a considerable amount of minutes at several points. I think it was when everything kind of lined up and it was like, okay, the beginning, the intro and the outro have so many similarities and it's all lining up and it's all sort of wrapping itself together to kind of make it the whole, like conceptually to fit with the As Above, So Below theme. I think in my mind, once that was all complete and once there was this idea of the reflection of the first half and the second half being adequate and even perfect, maybe. That's for me is when it was finalized. Most of that was, 99% of that was before we went into the studio, but that last 1% I think was just some persnickety, picky things.
Okay. And the final question I want to have about Mira Reaper is, being that you had something so long, did you have like a track laid out that went for the first hour and a half and then you like wrote over that, or was there some improvising involved too?
No, we had been charting it out over the time we were writing it. We had a dry erase board with all the sections written out on it. It was a big dry erase board. There was a bit of improv for the we called it the ambient section, where Eric Mogridge sings the section that we're stopping right before at the live shows. There was a little bit of kind of last minute switch arounds on that, but yeah, other than that, it was pretty set in stone. Again, there were some little parts that we kind of edited here and there, but 99% of it was set in stone going in.
Awesome. And one other question I wanted to ask that I was curious about is, because you guys are from Seattle, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like, we were just talking with Yob and them coming from Oregon, it's pretty, not too far from where you guys
Sure.
are. But Seattle with you guys, we're actually interviewing Isonortal on Saturday.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
right on.
and also this band Eye of Nyx.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who Black Somnia is an awesome record. Check
those
that record.
Those are both great bands.
Yeah, but I'd imagine it almost seems like, a lot of people hear Seattle, they assume grunge, but it seems like Seattle's now being like a doom capital of the world as well, right? If you would call it.
What's grunge? Just kidding. Ha, ha. I wouldn't say it's a doom. You said
doom, or I just called it that
sure,
for lack
sure,
of better words.
Sure. I suppose you could say there's a lot of underground metal there.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I think in my head, Denver has the most coming out at this current moment. I can think of like 10 bands.
Chemist,
on the
Primitive Man.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Wayfarer, like Feather and Bone, saw them the other day. There's Blood Incantation.
Yep.
There's Nightbringers from right around there, maybe not in Denver. There's hundreds of them, it seems, and they're all really good. I can't think of any Denver band where I'm like, yeah, they're okay. They're all really good.
Yeah.
I suppose Seattle, Portland has a lot as well. Portland, Oregon.
I feel like Agalloch kind of started that whole thing down there.
Yeah, Agalloch was great. I think John has that new band Pelori, and they're great.
Yep.
And some of those other guys have Karada, which I had. Karada, I think I'm saying that right?
Yep.
Haven't heard that yet, so I'm not sure what to expect. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's hundreds of bands in Portland as well.
Awesome. So the final question I wanted to ask you is, I always save the most typical and the most shallow question for last, but what could we be expecting from Bellwitch after this tour with Yob, if there's anything going out that you want to promote?
We're doing some shows directly after that with Mournful Congregation in Portland and Seattle at the end of July. The Seattle date has Mortiferum, I think I'm saying that correctly, from Olympia, who are killer. And the Portland date has Nightfell from Portland, who are also killer. Following that, we've got this idea that we're doing an Australian tour. I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet. I think I'm actually supposed to have a discussion about it later today. Maybe that'll happen. That'd be great if that happens.
Can't go wrong with Australia.
Can't go wrong with that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've been talking about doing a couple shows around the U.S. where maybe we do the entire Mira Reaper album from start to finish with Eric Mogridge singing with us.
Wow.
I don't know if those are finalized yet either. I think that's another thing we're going to talk about later tonight.
Yeah, well, you definitely, if that happens, please bring it to New York.
I think New York's definitely on that list.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, I want to thank you so much for your time.
For
it's
sure.
so great to have you here.
Thank
it
you.
feels good because I had so many questions about Mira Reaper.
Oh, right on,
yeah.
right on.
Everybody,
Hopefully I answered
we
some.
are here with Dylan of Bellwitch. Pick up their newest record, Mira Reaper. It is absolutely beautiful. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.